Hey friends, hope you're all doing super well. A couple quick housekeeping things before we get started with this video. Thank you so much for the support on the last one. I am now at 45 subscribers and over 1,000 views on that video as of recording, and I genuinely cannot be more thankful. Like, what the hell? Like, thank you guys so much. I really am motivated. I feel inspired by the support you guys have given me. I've seen your comments, I've liked a lot of them, I've even tried to reply to as many as I had the time to. So seriously, thank you so much, and I cannot wait to share the future with you guys. Now, as I said in the last video, I haven't exactly played through all of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, in particular Pizzeria Sim and FNAF 3, as those two just scare the absolute crap out of me for some particular reason, especially that interview section of Pizzeria Sim where it's just you and the robot in a room, and then you have to wait for that specific voice cue, and it's just, ugh, I get the heebie-jeebies just even gathering footage for it. But thanks to my lovely girlfriend, I've played quite a bit of FNAF 4, and I have gotten fairly comfortable with the game and its play cycle. In fact, I've gotten comfortable enough to realize that the kid you play as has a room with 2 doors. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems a little odd to me. Like, does my man have a master bedroom? My kitchen in real life has 2 entrances, and that's because it's basically the centermost room of the house, with one of the connections literally being the living room. Well, at that point, I was curious enough to look at the map as a whole, and upon seeing that this house is 2 long hallways, a bedroom, and a kitchen, I thought, who designed this? Then thought, who designed any of the maps? And that leads us to the video of today. I want to go through and look at the maps from 2 distinct perspectives, as a customer, to see how the buildings make sense from a hypothetical real-life visiting, and as the player, and how the maps work from a gameplay standpoint, at least in my opinion. And while I may point out the oddities of how a vent really shouldn't be where it is, I won't be upset that the building of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 in real life is only 27,000 square feet, and that's unrealistic because if you look at the size of the rooms, no. None of that. I am Respect the Badge, and if this is your first time, then welcome. If it isn't, it is absolutely fantastic to see you again. Either way, thank you for being here. Let's get into it. So, starting with the playable therapy inducer that is Five Nights at Freddy's 1, this location being known as Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it has a building layout that looks a little something like this. Now, from a player standpoint, this layout has a pretty detailed camera system showing us each and every room of the building except for the bathrooms. Obviously, sicko. On top of that, this map feels small yet not crowded. It allows for every animatronic in the game to start at a position that is far away from you and encroach on you, playing on the sense of dread and pressure as the nights continue. And the fact that Bonnie and Chica come down these 2 separate extended hallways add to that sense of dread and give the player a bit of time to see the threats coming, while also giving you more than half of a millisecond to react if Foxy comes barreling down the hall, as he would be right next to the office if not for that detail. If you would like a full analysis on the character movements as well as a look on the gameplay aspects, this video by The Bones 5 does a great job at explaining some of the points that I missed on top of the AI, the characters, and talks of the staple that is classic 420 mode. All in all, a very solid map as a player. Now, as the customer, we already begin to run into a bit of a roadblock. Where is the front door? There seems to be a bit of a discourse on this, so I'll take the most popular theory into account. Many say that the entrance is here, on the right side of the stage, and the exits are, quote, on the ends of the office, which I assume means here, which admittedly is a solid starting idea. It leads the customers in directly next to the main stage, while also having the customers immediately know where the bathrooms and kitchen are, so everything that they need to worry about is directly in front of them. On top of that, it keeps the parts room, out-of-order Foxy, and a supply closet on the opposite sides of the building, so customers are super unlikely to find those areas even if they get a little lost. Now, on the other hand, the exits that were projected are absolutely abysmal. Who in God's name should be allowed to walk directly by the security office to leave the building aside from the security guard? Now, mind you, they can't just have the door down to keep people out. They have 5 nights explaining why that's a bad idea. So people could easily just get in and mess with things that they shouldn't be able to. Also, you can actively see on the cameras that it is physically impossible to have a door there. There are a few reworks of this map by fans that would fix these issues, as well as fix the odd shape of the building's room placement in general, alongside this gap from the long hallways that works for gameplay, but admittedly looks pretty weird from an architectural view. However, there hasn't really been one using the map's original state, so I guess I'll throw my hat in the ring. I say keep the entrance exactly where it is, but have the exit on the opposite sides of the stage, here. While that does put the customers by the parts room, ideally that would be locked and under very watchful eye, and also ideally, Foxy's Pirate Cove would be up and running, allowing for a reason for people to be on that side of the room. And taking it one step further, the entrance and exit could also be made into a singular room, kind of like a lobby with a few arcade games or attractions as a bit of an appetizer for those coming in and a good wrap-up for those leaving. Now, with all of that being considered, FNAF 1 was a very solid opener starting my research, with good organization, solid map communication, and theoretically good customer movement. I make no promises of FNAF 2 doing the same. Alright everyone, strap in for a little bit. This is gonna be a while. FNAF 2 is a bit of a nightmare. The new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza sports a refreshed look for the animatronics that you've come to love in their toy form, as well as the inclusions of the Mangle, Balloon Boy, and the security puppet. The building is significantly larger to accommodate this fact, with 4 party rooms instead of just one central location, as well as a game area, prize corner, and dedicated kids' cove. Now, just looking at this map, it is very clearly messier than the first, and it certainly doesn't look any better when looking at the pathing chart for the animatronics AI. While FNAF 1's chart looks a little something like this, where you can see a crisp 2 and 2 split being performed on either path with Bonnie and Foxy on the left, then Chica and Freddy on the right, FNAF 2's pathing looks a little something like this. Now, in this mess of spaghetti, I think it happens for a couple reasons. Primarily because instead of 4 animatronics, you now have to watch 10, not including the secret characters. And keeping that in mind, you also just don't deal with the 2 rooms up top. Those are assuredly the bathrooms, but guess you'll never know, sicko. Another glaring problem is that this game over-relies on the hallway you're staring down, with no security door by the way, and traded the 2 hallway system for a pair of vents on either side of you, which A, also have no protective doors, B, are big enough for an animatronic to fit in for some reason, and C, have either no covers at all or are easy enough to take off that an animatronic hand can do it and have no one notice in the morning. While flashing the light down this hallway is helpful for deterring Withered Foxy and naturally gathering information about all of the others while doing so, the fact that there are so many things to worry about, as well as the fact that the player has to do a back and forth motion when it comes to learning the animatronics, makes it near abysmal to look at and to play. At least it does to me. I think you can see which game is my least favorite now. Now, on the other side of things, back as the customer, you have a much easier time finding the front door luckily, as it can be confirmed that the door is right above the prize corner as seen in the Puppets minigame in Pizzeria Simulator. From there, your problems begin to arise. The main game area houses the show stage with the big 3 like in the first game, but Balloon Boy and the Puppets presence can also be seen as soon as you enter. The station for the kids is below the main entrance through a doorway. If you head to the corner above the game area, you enter the main hall with the bathrooms, maybe, again, we think, but not sure, and walk past the parts and service room, housing every decommissioned animatronic from the first game in one spot, which, I mean, really is just a phenomenal idea. And then from there, you go down the hallway leading to the security office, the one that you stare down for most of your runtime as a guard. This leads you to 2 party rooms on either side. That's the end of the building. No loop, no shortcut back, no nothing. And just like the first game, I absolutely refuse to believe that there are exits by the office. Could you imagine being in party room 1 and needing to go find your kid in the cove? By the time you get there, the puppet either would have stopped them or your kid would be the next gravestone. And the building on top of that would be absolutely packed, and enjoying your party would be a nightmare because of all of the other rooms around you holding parties as well. All of the people would make it feel like a Disney day in an enclosed building. When it comes to the critiques, there is absolutely nothing I can do to save this one. Between the clustered mess that the building is to the janky pathing of the animatronics, it's really just a lost cause. The best I can come up with is losing the massive vents on either side and connecting a path from Kids Cove to either Party Room 2 or the office, and neither of these options are good because you either have to interrupt a party to get to the kids area, or you walk through the security room and also the kids area to leave the building. Not a super amazing look for FNAF 2. Alright, you can unstrap now. I think we're done finally. With that mess out of the way, we now move on to Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which is also known as Fazbear's Fright. Now, this building's main attraction is that it's meant to be a walk-through horror experience for patrons centered around the previous game's atrocities, and for once, it's built like it too. Sorry for the low-res image, but this is the map, and it even has a little front door indicator. This map alone would have made it arguably too easy to keep track of Springtrap, the only animatronic of this game, so they decided to add everyone's favorite oversized vents! Admittedly, it is a necessity for the game's sake. It creates another dimension of gameplay where you have to watch 2 sets of cameras and trap off certain vents so he can't get in. On top of that, you can't just herd him back to the first room with calls and try to hold him there, as A, I think the AI gets tired of the same room after a while, and B, there are 2 vents in the primary room that he can enter, and you can only block off 1 at a time, meaning he's either making a lot of progress towards you, or he's ending up directly in your office, which of course is not fantastic. This mechanic, on top of the phantoms and the system malfunctions, makes for a very chaotic gameplay experience that stays fresh for a long time and has a lot of replayability. Now, when it comes to seeing this game from the customer's perspective, it is a very, very fresh take on the layout, and would offer a very simple traveling experience. You can find the front door here at this little marker, as I said earlier. From there, you can walk down the path and take the normal routes through the attraction, which naturally leads you towards the exit. There are also certain sections that have extra rooms and or shortcuts in order for the guests to take as long as a time or as short as a time as they need. And for the only time of this video, the exits past the security office make complete and total sense. The office is part of the attraction after all, giving the visitors this massive window to look through in order to see the goings-on inside and understand what the night guard was working with. Whether or not they're to be allowed in the room is left up to question, but either way, this layout is infinitely better than the first two. The only problem that I can see with this layout is that there are, very sadly, no bathrooms in sight. Sorry, sickos. With that, my friends, we come to the end of part 1 of this video. I would have loved to make this whole thing into one big video talking about every game just back to back to back, but in order to make sure that this video got out in even somewhat of a timely manner, which it already isn't, I have to cut it up into a few pieces. I've been working at Renaissance Fair, plus I'm trying to get into college, and my hours at work are changing, so it's been a lot to juggle, and I hope that you guys stay with me for it. Next time, we'll talk about those crazy hallways that I mentioned in the intro from FNAF 4, the sprawling underground of Sister Location, the complications involved with Pizzeria Simulator, and return to a familiar face with a layout of Ultimate Custom Night. I have been Respect the Badge, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon. Bye! As a PS, I know I said it in the intro, but seriously, thank you so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it, and I have loved replying to all of your comments, and even though it's small, it feels so good creating this little community that I can call my own. It's absolutely amazing, and I love each and every one of you. thank you so much for enjoying the content. All right, bye for real.